If 2011 is just here, 2015. But we are focused in terms of what is required of INEC as an election management body. We've been working assiduously. We have a strategic plan that we hope will make us, in fact, beyond 2015, be considered as one of the best election management bodies in this country, in addition to ensuring that 2015 is remarkably much better than 2011. So there are challenges, there are concerns, but we are doing our best to address this, and I feel confident that we have a handle in terms of making 2015 to meet the aspirations of Nigerians for free, fair, and credible elections.
I know that 2015, your preparations will always start way ahead of time. That even includes, it could even start with the way politicians conduct themselves. Because you talked about some of them jumping the gun. Is INEC going to do anything about that?
Yes. Any fundamental breach of the laws, the electoral laws, we will investigate it, and once we have sufficient evidence, we will work closely with the security agencies, and we will sanction those who have committed breaches of these legal provisions. Obviously, one of the major challenges, again, in the electoral process is the way in which politicians and some of their supporters commit electoral offences with impunity. And until we begin to deal with this problem of impunity, the challenges, the crisis will continue in terms of muddling things through, in terms of negating some of the gains that we have made. So dealing with these offenses is really a challenge that we want to meet decisively. And this area of willful commencement of campaigns when the laws are clear, that you don't commence campaigns until a timetable is issued, and the timetable specifies the period within which campaigns should be conducted. So we are monitoring the situation. We have issued a warning, and we will be making documentation in order to have sufficient evidence to be able to prosecute those who commit these offenses.
Are you also going to be specifying very clearly what the campaign, what will constitute a campaign?
Of course, we will have to issue guidelines in that regard, but the provisions also are very, very clear. We all have a sense as to what campaigns are, but it's important to have a rational criteria which clearly defines what constitutes campaign. But what constitutes campaign broadly represents canvassing for votes. I want to contest for this office, vote for me. And
either directly or indirectly, or through proxies.
Yes, or through proxies. Or somebody goes and says, this is my candidate, he is going to do this, support him. So wherever we have that kind of evidence, we will take appropriate action. But be mindful, successful prosecution is not just the job of INEC. Our job is to have the evidence, get the police reports, go to court, have good legal representation, but how far it takes to prosecute, how successful the prosecution is a function of so many variables that come into it. But we will do our best. And I will say once again, and thanks for this opportunity, to say that many Nigerians have assumed that INEC has not done anything about prosecution of electoral offenders. I want to say categorically, we have done our best. We have prosecuted over 200 people successfully. Successfully in terms of going through the legal process and finishing. Some have been fined, some have even been jailed. Some were NYSC, some were even INEC staff. 200. Before our commission came, was inaugurated, there was no record of a single successful prosecution of electoral offences.
But is this
but obviously it's a drop in the ocean.
Exactly, yes, compared to the number of people that were said to have committed the offences.
Yes, because prosecution, as I said, entails quite a number of things. It entails costs, it entails good legal representation. It entails very good investigation by the security agencies.
Do you think that a special court set up for just that purpose, I mean, considering the number of people you arrested during that period, you know, if you had, say, a special court where people could just go be tried and, you know, be fined if it's something that involves a fine and, you know, so you can get them over and done with, do you think that that would help?
No, definitely. I was privileged to be a member of the Justice Mohammed Uwais Electoral Reform Committee, and it recommended the establishment of an elections offences tribunal. And when we came into INEC, and I mean, we made very early a commitment to prosecute electoral offences, but as we proceeded, I saw the challenges. We have a very small legal department, is overwhelmed by either pre-election litigation or post-election tribunal cases, and in between we still have to manage prosecution of electoral offenders. So certainly there is a need for the establishment of an election offences tribunal so that that responsibility can be taken away from INEC and given to somebody who can do it more effectively and more efficiently. But while the responsibility remains ours, we are doing our best to see how we can prosecute, and that's why we've prosecuted this number, although, as I said, it's a drop in the ocean, because on registration alone, we do have evidence to prosecute close to 1 million people. Clear cases of multiple registration.
Wow.
Somebody was here today, he registered, he could not register twice in one place. The next day they go to another place and they registered. Now we have that evidence, it's very clear. So, but, I mean, to have the resources and the personnel to successfully do this prosecution is enormous.
Well,
but we are partnering, I must also say this, we are partnering with the MBA. In fact, we have been discussing that partnership, and now we are taking it a level higher. And our hope is that before we commence the process of continuous voter registration, which we hope to commence in the third quarter, which is July to September, God willing, you know, we also want to make examples of those who have done multiple registration. So we will do it, but it's very challenging. But the best thing is have another agency that can actually handle prosecution of electoral offenders.
That July to September, this year?
This year, yes.
In handling all these things, are you implying that INEC is somewhat overwhelmed?
Well, in some respects, yes. I mean, in respect of the prosecution of electoral offenders, certainly our legal department is overwhelmed. But in terms of handling our job as an electoral commission, conducting and managing elections holistically, we are not overwhelmed.
Well, how about the recommendation by a group that issues of registration of political parties and monitoring of these political parties should be taken off the hands of INEC? How do you...
No, but again, even the Justice Mohammed Lawal Uwais Committee, which I referred to earlier, recommended that INEC should be unbundled, which is taking things like registration of political parties and so on, and also giving it to another body. So, I mean, the lesser the work we do, perhaps the more efficient we will be able to do it, you know. But definitely with regards to the prosecution of electoral offenders, we believe in INEC, and we've even made recommendations to the National Assembly that a separate body could certainly do it better. Now, the issue of registration of parties and so on, if it is given to another body, well and good. But I think we can handle that. It's simple, it's straightforward. It's certainly not as difficult and complicated as the prosecution of electoral offenders.
Let's quickly go to, you know, the conduct of elections itself, considering the lessons that you would have learned, say, from 2011 and subsequent elections you've had to conduct. You know, one of the things that keeps giving people worry and source for concern is logistics. INEC seems to be perpetually late. We can't seem to get materials to where we need them, when we need them, even when we're conducting elections, maybe in one local government or sometimes in a state, in just one state. Why do you think that this continues to be a problem for INEC?
No doubt logistics managing logistics has been a major challenge for INEC. And I think it's a challenge that we've done